All right. How cool. It looks like we're streaming. So this is going to be an interesting start to things. I always have to make make things more complicated than they need to be, I guess. But here we go. Let's have some fun here. Usually I use OBS to set things up, but I'm gonna ask the AI gods, how do I embed, or how about this? Can I embed a webcam in HTML5 only? Let's see what they say. And if they can, I'm pretty sure you can. Um, I just want to see if it's possible to just kind of use this instead. Oh my God, that's a whole document. Why? I don't want a canvas. What is this nonsense? Why are they giving me a canvas? It looks like there's enough here to work with, though. Let's do this. Okay, I have no clue. It went so. This is not what I wanted. I just kind of wanted a video tag. Great. So let's just pick and choose here. So we want this video tag, right? And then they have this navigator guy. This is in a script tag. We're gonna want that script tag, and we really only need this probably. Uh, but then we're also going to want. Oh, they don't even give me any error handling. Great. Well, we're not going to do any error handling then. Copy. We don't really need it because I'm pretty sure that the sound here is coming through other channels. Let's close this script. And I think that, so we've got Jupyter LSP here, which is going to help us a little bit with some completion. Hopefully, this little line break isn't valid. But then we've got this then, and that definitely needs to be closed. And that needs to be closed. And then let's see, does that give us a video? Um, no. Bummer. What an awful start. Let's try this. How do I embed a webcam in HTML5 with the smallest HTML, JS, and CSS? Um, Once we get there, it'll be funny. It's always an awkward start. Usually oh God. Yeah, well, that's my fault. This isn't gonna work. I did have some code that did work a while ago, and I think no, we've got something here. How about this? Let's just go and do this. This is some code that worked. Thought I was warmed up, but clearly not. So there, and oh, I'm gonna do a quick restart, because I think we have lost our permissions. Oh no. And now we've got our bad code here. What a terrible, 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 terrible start. Okay, no, 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 it's not a terrible start. We are salvaging this. Excellent. We're gonna hit allow. Oh my God, fabulous. How good, how good. Um, but it's upside down. Hmm, hmm. Okay, so when I stream this to y'all, it's upside. So I wonder if I can go and do a style. And then we're going to do ID, and then we're going to say, I don't know, I assume this is a block element. So then we're going to do transform, rotate. This is I think, going to be along the Z, 180 degrees. Is that going to do anything for us? Is that it's going to ask for permissions again? No, didn't work. But let's see. This is fun anyway. I'll eventually get to doing something practical, but let's keep exploring a little bit and see what we can see here. So it doesn't look like it ever got that styling that I asked of it. But let's try and do a transform, and then we're going to rotate it around Z, and it says, oh boy, clumsy. The keystrokes aren't the same as my normal development thing. Okay, so that's rotate Z, and that There we go. And now it's right side up. And now I guess I could get started with doing some drawing here and really kind of getting to, yeah, I guess I can just full screen this. Oh, what a bummer. Okay, hold on. This is real though, because we have somebody has full screen on right now. And we can say that in full screen mode, maybe it does it. Let's see. Let's see. Oh, I don't know what that thing actually is. Anyway, all right, how about this? We're just gonna kind of leave this here, and I'm just gonna. This is cute because I got like a notebook and a notebook. Isn't that's that's charming. It's charming. Um, neato. So we can't use full screen. Um, but a little bit later when I switch over, we're gonna see how flexible this stuff is. And wow, gonna need a new notebook soon. These a lot of the same ideas, just with different pens, isn't it? Warmed up a little bit differently. So I am always thinking about markdown. Um, it's there are these weird opinions from some experts that it's not a serious or real programming language, but man, that it's the door for a lot of people. Folks coming out of folks coming out of boot camps. They're all very literate in markdown. When we're talking about like open source and stuff like that too, we're often like, oh yeah, documentation's a great place to start. And it's markdown unless your project's a sadist or anachronistic sadist using RST. But markdown's super interesting. Um, we're going to talk about Python a little bit first. Um, and then, yeah, but it's interesting. Python got some early funding. Funding is important for things to grow. And in computer programming for everybody, the goal was like computational literacy for everybody, right? And Markdown's kind of like really, or Python's hit the masses, and it's definitely helped like billions of us. Hopefully, it can still help me in the future if anybody's hiring. Boom. But anyway, it's really interesting how this is the door for all programming languages. Have you ever seen Markdown fail? It fails to meet your expectations, sure, but like usually we go and see it in some. Actually, this is usually the shorter words. I'll go with the big fatter pen. This one happens to be red. How cool! That'll add some color and texture to this as we go through it. But yeah, one of the outcomes of this is PDF or is HTML. And that's usually how we experience it on GitHub and all that kind of stuff, right? But Markdown, like, there's code in this, right? And there's code that you like naturally we copy and paste the code there, right? So these are the operating instructions. Sometimes it reminds me of like Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance, thinking about like how critical it is to have good design documents and how important of a job documentation writing is, but we see that stuff incredibly underfunded, or the people doing it are beyond their sort of limits. The community exposure is difficult, but at the same time, too, I've always thought, well, if Markdown was a programming language, then like now you're at this like sort of Python mission of like potentially billions of people writing documents. Um, And what I'm going to talk about today is this weird thing that I've done, which is what pen do we want to use now? I feel like I want to bop around with the brush tip. One of the things that I've done is created a way for Markdown to translate into Python. Um, so that means that any Markdown you have is potentially valid Python. But then again, there's a style of writing to valid Python. We're sort of seeing this trend in a few places where like people are co-opting markdown to do execution. It's like this natural literate programming thing. And we see it in things like MDX and like missed markdown and all the documentation stuff where React is sort of blended with markdown. In a lot of ways, you're blending compute with the document. And that's what we've always been doing in notebooks. And I've always wanted it to be like way closer. Like, how do I write these things in a way that just it's not it goes it's more together than cells. Um, but yeah, so what we're talking about here, at least in the Knuthian realm of the world, um, in the concept of literate programming, we have this idea of tangle. So tangle is this idea that you have a document language. Ours is Markdown. Donald Knuth chose LaTeX because, well, he wrote that shit. Duh. Um, but then his target language was Pascal because it was great for education, which is another like reason that I would like experimenting with like literate programming in Python because it does see a lot of traction in education because it is idiomatic. Maybe I'm just more literate in it, but I find myself WTFing JavaScript a lot. So there's this angle, which is tangle. So what you're really doing is like Markdown. Markdown has a grammar-ish, but it's very loose. It never fails. It doesn't have any errors in it, right? It's not that strict of a grammar. Um, but Python, on the other hand, is like a regulated language, right? So what we're saying here is that we can move Markdown to both HTML and both Python. So we're going to program that way, where we're actually writing code for what it should look like at the same time as how it computes. I'm not quite sure what example I'm going to use today, but we'll see some Pidgey in action here. Now, there's another layer that's like missing. So we talked about Markdown to Python. The next level is this weaving step. And in the weaving step, I've always wanted to give this talk. It's a lot easier just being able to do it after like comfortable and sort of safe in my home. And a lot of anxiety at conferences, and it's hard to keep doing it after you like submit stuff and you get rejected. But anyway, this is the weaving step here, right? So the weaving step takes the document language and compiles it into something else. Donald Knuth would target PDF or device DVI format, whatever it is. I think Sphinx makes that stuff for me. But my interest is in HTML because there's nowhere in like PDF LaTeX land that defines accessibility, but in HTML it does, right? So it's kind of neat because yeah, from this same source we can get here. But one of the things that we can't do in this paradigm is actually take stuff from our runtime and use it in our HTML. So that's actually where we add. This markdown here that we're talking about is not always the input markdown. So let's say here that there's another markdown source. And what we've done in for Pidgey, Midgey, whatever we're going to call it, from this like source markdown, right? Like this is the raw thing. Like sometimes when you're doing interactive computing, your like raw source code is actually getting translated. So that's what we take advantage of uh, when we start programming in this markdown kind of way. But in between here, we've actually put a Jinja templating language. So templating is like a concept. I think was Ted Brooks, Fred Brooks. I don't know that guy. Ted Nelson. Ted Nelson. He introduced that in literary machines. Yeah, literary machines. Yeah, something like that. He presents his idea of Project Xanadu. He talks about hypertext and hypermedia for the first time, like groundbreaking shit. But one of the things he talked about too was this idea of like transclusion and being able to include documents in documents. And we can see like notebooks pushing that forward, but I really want to like push it to the extreme here. So now this gives us two actual potential Python states. So we have this markdown can go to some Python. So it can get tangled to this Python um, and then executed and then put back into the template, creating new markdown, and then eventually weaving to some ideally accessible HTML. But then there's an unsafe mode that we have where we can actually use the pre-existing state of things and we can run a template before converting the markdown into Python. I don't mess with this. I call this unsafe mode. But yeah, let's sort of put like a little disclaimer here. We're gonna say this is safe and this is unsafe. Okay. So like I know somebody might see this and cringe a little bit about the templating version, but look, if the goal is to have fun, just be safe when you're having fun. Trust your friends. But anyway, this is kind of what the workflow looks like that I'm going to talk about. And the I'll probably go and clean this up and highlight a little bit. But one of the things that I find interesting in this is sort of taking this idea of a so there's a concept of pidgin languages where people from other cultures and other backgrounds come together and they have a need to communicate, so they form a language based on their hybrid, right? So what we're talking about here is like if we're programming in Python and Markdown and say Jinja, for example, then we're programming in a pidgin language. And once we put all of this stuff in one place together, it's beautiful, right? Because like we can actually write HTML inside Markdown, which makes this potentially an accessible programming language. I don't think it's possible to have a accessible programming language without HTML in the mix because that's where all of our standards are going to be defined. Um, but yeah, the maybe we program a little bit, but I'm just sitting here thinking a lot about Donald Knuth and looking at some of these drawings here and sort of the relationship between calligraphy and programming, right? Maybe I'll talk about that as kind of a good rant. But you know, when we're writing in Markdown, when we're able to like put programming languages in programming languages and like if I'm writing in Markdown, I can put Bash in there, I can put JavaScript in there, I can put HTML in there. I have incredible flexibility with what I can do. And then further being able to put the data in there is just a fabulous experience. But like for me, this is a, I've often been searching for the, I don't know, the ability to feel what I feel when I draw a long line in calligraphy. I want to feel that way when I write some code. Because, like, ultimately, we're playing around with type and form. We we see aesthetics. We smell aesthetics, right? Isn't that funny? You know how it's really hard to design for scent, right? But code as calligraphy, sometimes it stinks. Sometimes it's got a code smell. You know, we talk about these things. Eric Bailey's got a great article on that one. It's probably worth talking about at some point. But yeah, there's this other concept, and I'll probably share that too. It's a concept of a calligram. Foucault talks a lot about it when he's doing like a critical analysis of magritte. This isn't a pipe. But in calligrams, you have this idea of type and form sort of cooperating and working together, right? And they're irreducible units. At a certain point, you can't break up the design system uh, without destroying the story, right? A lot of times I think about that with data visualization, and it's fragile. So one of the principles of accessibility is robustness, and it's how to put all this stuff together and think about a more accessible, inclusive future. And I think Markdown's just a fabulous door to be doing that. But what do you say we dive into some Knuth history a little bit? And then while we're doing this, it'll be cool. It'll be really fun. We're actually gonna be able to make some nods to this history in our literate programming language. So let's talk about Knuth and literate programming. I had no idea where I was going to go with this today. Usually these things are freestyle. I'm just kind of recording some practice. If I'm comfortable enough and I took my medicine, I'm usually good to go. So let's give this a refresh here. And I wonder if this is going to let me change cameras. This will be sick. Right? Because, oh, no, we don't want that. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to lose this. All right. So this is like poor man's OBS, right? It's not that I dislike OBS. It's just that I'm really curious about what we're capable of with the browser. I'm sure people saw that dumb shit Apple commercial where they crushed all this technology. But like it would have been a better story if they just showed how all of this stuff is already in a web browser. And it's not really all that special. Maybe Apple should free up their WebKit a little bit more. So I'm gonna let's see. This is the service front. I don't know what these are. Let's see. Do I want that one? Thick. That's me. All right, great. And then I should be able to picture in picture this, watch in picture in picture. Okay, isn't this great? Because now I can just like work on, I think over in, yeah, and let's see, over in YouTube. What am I seeing over here? Um, no, that's great. I mean, basically, this is the setup I had over in OBS, but I have a little bit more control myself. Like I can actually go and change it live and things along those lines. So I'm happy with this. This is a fun poor man's broadcasting system. It's we should really, mm, you know, one of the things that like the print press brought was calligraphy poverty, um, but at the same time too, it started to make type a natural material. Oops, let's get rid of that. And I think one of the things that I'm understanding recently is that HTML is also a natural resource. My background's in material science. I got a PhD in that stuff. And I think it's worth considering the material qualities of digital information, what it looks like, what it sounds like, and all that stuff. But let's talk about some cool calligraphy. So I did some drawing earlier, and I'm always like interested in how to bring all of this stuff sort of together. Oh darn! I meant to do something. I meant to take a screenshot of the drawing while we were doing that, but um, hmm. No, I'd have to set the camera back up to do that. But yeah, no, it's interesting, right? Because I could go and like take a picture of myself here. Let's see. So, oh no, this is like a weird thing. What is this? I don't know what that is. Anyway, if I'm in here, I can go and take a snapshot. Save. Sure, great. And then if I have that, I can actually go and just like drag it in. I think I should be able to just drag it in my mark. Nope, that's not a markdown cell. Now it's a markdown cell. So now I can go. Yeah, that's sick. Now I can go. I mean, it's not like I like my face. I really like this hat and this shirt. That's not a bad picture, right? But yeah, no, this is a pretty cool system with the video that I control myself. Whatever. It's janky, but what is it? It's like 15 silly lines of code. AI steered me wrong. I mean, I used AI to get this. Uh, why is the rotate still working? Very peculiar. Very peculiar. Um, but what? I was going to talk about calligraphy. I forgot. Okay. So let's start here. Uh, so I don't know. Yeah, I guess it's just in my history here. Patron patron saying the yak shaves. Um, so this is a great discussion about the contributions that Donald Knuth has been making, right? And it's sort of like a story of like tech debt and uh, literacy at the same time. So let's see. This is patron saint of yak shaves. Um, yeah. Uh, Oops. Cool. No, let's have some fun now, right? Because I said earlier we are gonna do some Pidgey stuff. So what I can actually say here is that I've got this special cell magic that now puts me in a programming mode. Not much has changed, but we'll see over time how it might be interesting and how this approach kind of sets us up for success. But one of the articles that's really interesting to me is there's this article. I think it's like Quanta magazine. Yeah, you know, just my brain is my search index for just titles of things, right? But it's interesting as we start to scroll down. We see, like, I love the physical drawings, right? Like, this is one of the things I try and think about. Like, these are calligrams, right? There's a shape and form. The numbering is intentional, right? But like also spending the slow thinking time is really helpful. Um, Great. We're gonna keep scrolling a little bit. We get down further. Amazing. So Donald Knuth writes a bunch of stories. He's really fun. You can tell the fun and enjoyment when he's writing about his work. But this is what interests me is in the late 70s and early 80s, Knuth worked with Herman Zapf. And if we go and look up Herman Zapps, and then we go and bop into his images here, and let's go and look at his calligraphy. I mean, he is just a beautiful work. One of the most, probably the most famous calligrapher of his time. But the calligraphers needed to work on figuring out how to do digital typesetting. There was an important collaboration there in translating the physical to the digital. So like, despite all of the death of media over the years, calligraphy still does survive and its importance does survive. And I think, in some way or another, I find a certain overlap between the practice of programming and the practice. Like this is beautiful. I love the idea of the alphabet being a frame itself, right? This is that concept that letters are a natural resource, right? And like when we're sort of programming in the browser, our natural resources have changed a little bit, but we still have access to things like amazing typography theories. Look at this. This is just gorgeous. There's a command and an understanding of like space um, that goes with this. God, you could just walk around this forever. It's really beautiful. So maybe this is a. I'm gonna we should probably throw a little link in here, right? I'm very charmed by this one. And then I'm also, what are you? What are you? Copy link without tracking. Okay. And then we're going to go and put this over here. Oh, I copied the link. I want to copy the image. Copy image link. There we go. And then we get that. And then we have this image. And there's probably a name for it. Uh, but oops. Ha! That's funny. Uh, okay, great. So yeah, cool. Nice. It's beautiful, right? And we should go and take note of this Quanta magazine here. Um, and we'll just say, how about this for I think that actually I'm gonna make this no text, and I'm gonna throw this in a figure because we actually kind of want like a visual and audible representation. So I could just put the alt text in there, but I think it's important for like other folks to be able to see this. So now this is where we sort of get this nice blending of HTML and markdown here, and we get to come at it with some accessibility mind, and we'll just say this is calligraphy by Herman Zapp. Um, and I know in some way or another, y'all would be just like, oh, this is just markdown, and I'm like, yes, it's fun, great. We haven't even done anything jazzy yet, and that's when maybe you'll start to change your tune a little bit. But let's make sure that we leave a link to Wikipedia, maybe, and this way, if folks stumble across this, they can go and learn a little bit more. And now, cool. So even if we, so let's go and all right. So this is the okay. So that's wrong. Boom, boom, boom. Okay. A Quanta magazine. What did they title this thing? The computer scientist who can't stop telling stories. Great. Copy pasta. Bada bing, bada boom. I probably could have used like a block quote in the site, but some of that stuff doesn't ever make it to a screen reader, so it's not like worth the effort sometimes. It's like nice try, but sucks to suck still. Um, anyway, so this is our figure. This is the caption. It's a paragraph. I wonder. Okay, so the list. Okay, so yeah, so that'll get read. So the calligraphy by Herman Zapp will get read. And cool. Oh, I didn't picture this thing. Anyway, let's go back there and picture. And does that mean I can go over? Yeah. Anyway, oh, God, this is fun. I guess I had to get rid of myself too. There's some stuff on the bottom right that we really need over here. But anyway, yeah. So what's literate programming? First, the first of anything, the first great science is always a piece of art, right? Like it brings like form and function, words to form and function in a way. And I love that this is like an experimental paper. But it's interesting. Let's go make sure we've got a link to this guy here, right? Nito Spaghetto. There we go. What am I doing? So this is literate programming. I've read this paper quite a few times. I really love some of the goals and the candor in this. And like I really love the concept of literacy, right? Like it's a hard thing not to advocate for, right? Like this ability to like read and write. And I think what we're finding in this literate programming concept is the ability to read and write code sort of changes when the quality changes. I love this over here, right? So this is some early, typesetting. I was still a baby while all this is going on. There's some little beautiful programs in here, and then yeah, it's not a very long paper. The let's see, there's some, how many folks, how many papers do you get to search for the word joy? and be like, oh, I'm gonna find something. But there's a great quote here, and I'm like fully behind this. It sometimes reminds me of this really interesting concept presented by Roland Barthes. I was like super interested in I get interested in semiotics, right? Because like so much of scientific literature is words. Like, and then you start to realize that the word people analyze stuff as a system of power. Um, patri, no, paternalistic science, yeah. So the in this paper, there's a few there's an analysis of science and literature together, but then there is sort of a hope, and the that's the word I was looking for. There are things that Roland Barthes, kind of like the creator of structuralism or something semiotics. I don't know. Hard to keep track of all of those males from that time period, especially anyway. But this recommendation is important to me, um, where there's finally science and literature. We need to get pleasure out of this, out of writing, out of reading, and all that kind of stuff, right? So like news, hopefulness, and the concepts in or the philosophies and morals sort of underlining. I've always hoped to have this connection recorded. Uh, this is going to be from Barthes, right? Science must reconquer. Let's see, that of pleasure, right? But then let's go and make. Sometimes good ideas just sort of come from having two things next to each other that like never would have been there. And I think like where you find these two papers sort of out of time, but sort of advocating for the same things. Copy. So this one, let's do a proper block quote. Just so this would be a markdown block quote here. The other way to do this would be hmm, I wish I had some completion here, but we'll I don't want to give up my paste buffer right now. But then we're gonna just go and that's fine. That's fine. It'll get all squished back together, right? But maybe we go and make sure that pleasure jouissance is highlighted here, and also uh, this here. So now we're making this connection between two titans of literacy. And man, there's a one of the there's a net V does fabulous research on literacy, especially in coding systems, and I think her new works in AI and stuff like that. Computational. Let's see. Understand. This is a really great um, overview of literacy. It's a really great media study of the different kinds of literacies and like really how complicated it is for us to do the stuff that we do, across languages, and how we learn it and how we translate it on. It's a very complex dynamic. And that's another good paper to have. Bop. Boom. Okay. Yeah, no, I've always wanted to put these things together. So I get nervous. I know nobody watches these things, and that's fine with me. Even if they come after the fact, I just kind of like them sort of being live, because I kind of don't ever know what I'm gonna say. But it's all right talking to myself, and I really love that I'm not using OBS to stream this, and it's just like super lo-fi. Like this This is funny. Anyway, so now we've got another paper we've added here, and what else? And yeah, so I don't have a link for the science versus literature paper, but maybe I'll find a way to leave a link to that. I know there's some stuff on like monoscop, maybe. Um, uh, yeah, so we'll just leave that as a placeholder. That's bad. Accessibility wise. But now we got some quotes and some fun things to kind of think about here, right? And here, let's do, I don't know, usually can judge uh, what time it is. I don't, oh, that's how I can do it. Okay, cool. I'm going to do like another 20 minutes of rambling and putting thoughts together. And let's do one last thing, the letter S. So, we talked about uh, Herman Zapf and the calligraphy, right? And like maybe it's like destructive to think about like the digital formalism of this, but it's also interesting what a challenge it is to make the letter S. And that we needed a paper and we needed defense funding to be able to write this. So this is a paper about making the letter S in Metafont. I think it actually has some like programs in it that might even work. It might actually have some like literate programming things in here. Yeah, there's some Pascal stuff down here that do the math. But it's just like a delight to think about how we take stuff for granted. Like how far the color blue used to have to travel, and the effort that a couple people had to put into making the letter S. Um, yeah, it's really interesting to think about how these small achievements all sort of pile up together. Um, anyway, great. So I was going to talk about Pidgey here with some fun stuff. Yeah, right. So I guess I could go. One of the funnest things to do would probably be to oh, I bet you I lost that screenshot of myself here. Yeah, probably. Whatever. That's cool. We didn't need that anyway. But let's go split off here and let's consider this, what's happening here. So, what is happening here? It's just showing some markdown, right? But it's actually generating code underneath of it. So I can use this -s flag to show me the code. And everything is commented out. Very interesting. I'm actually not sure why it's doing that. I wonder if I changed like a setting recently. Uh-oh. Whoa, we're gonna see. This is a bigger adventure than I thought it was. So let's do a quick test here. So that should nope. Okay, great. Something's wrong. Something's wrong. Hold on. This shouldn't be doing this. This should be doing this. I think I turned something off. Okay, shell. Tangle parser. Okay, one of these guys has comments in it. Front matter. I don't remember what the thing is. Include. Uh, hold on. Let me check something else. Oh no, that's right. It's actually right. It's actually right. It's actually right. I have done maybe the yep. So we just found the bug. Super great. That's why I like doing this stuff. All right, great. Do you guys? Does anybody care why I'm happy? Nobody really even knows. Because like here's the deal. This YAML looks like this, right? It's super fun. This is what I'm kind of talking about with like being able to have the two code interact is when you show what the Python is that comes out, it's actually a bunch of block strings here, right? It's kind of fun. I don't know, maybe not. Like we could go and say something, well, this is a series. So see, since this kind of starts with a parenthesis here, we can actually go and continue a function statement down to it. And now we get a series out. Oh, yeah, it's right here. Isn't that cool? Isn't that fun? So yeah, this is kind of a suggestion about how Markdown and Python can go and interact. So I could go and say, take this series. So these are some links, right? Let's go and take these links and let's go and apply. And we actually have a Markdown parser kind of already cooked into stuff here. And I just know where it's at, so it seems like magic. Series has no, because this is supposed to be apply. And now we've got our links here. Uh, and then we could go, so now this is like I don't know, we could go and say, let's import some beautiful soup. Import beautiful soup, BS4. Okay, cool. And then we're going to go in here, and then we're going to lambda x. Okay. No. What? What? Who does that? That's not right. This is right. Okay. Maybe AI would like help me a little bit, but I don't. It's just like stumbly stuff. It's like bumps in the road. PS4, beautiful soup. Let's put X on this, and then we're gonna say features. I got LXML, so we'll do that one. And then we're just gonna go and grab A, and then we're gonna go and get the adders from it. So let's say that this is our soup. I've been using the walrus operator more. I'm not sure if it's a good thing, but yeah, let's make a function def adders, and then we'll just say we're gonna pull in some string, and then we'll do our beautiful soup stuff here. Okay, super fun, super fun. Okay, soup, soup. All right. And then what we're going to do is we're going to return soup.a.adders. And then we're going to add text. And that's going to be soup.a.string, think. And then we go to adders, boom. Okay, nothing. So angry at me. X is not defined. Yeah, because I was going and doing things like that. Little ghetto typing. Bang! Isn't that great? Okay, so like it's weird, right? Because like we write a lot of stuff in Markdown that never gets run as code. But if people are using our code, if we're rerunning if the code's getting used, it should, I don't know. I just think it should like interact more. So this is let's go and keep freestyling off of this because this is kind of funny, right? What we can say here is that these are our let's just call this MDF. That's fine, right? And then we can go and do to lockdown. Okay, I'm just I think I got a paperclip uh, copy, and I'm just gonna copy this. Okay, nope, module not found. What? You're totally tabulate. Who are you? That's totally true. I don't have that. All right, be right back. We'll have it in a second. Pip install. I never know what environment I'm gonna hit over there, so I got a cached version. That's sick. All right, cool. Now you mad? Now that's real. Okay, cool. So now, yeah, I got a markdown table. That's like this is great, right? But then I can even go and say, well, this is table source is now something. This is imagey. It's now something. And then if I wanted to go and consume that again, what I could do is shell, we're going to go and convert it to HTML. So that's table source. Markdown at object not callable. I know. That's great. Okay, and then we're going to go and do pandas from read HTML, and then it probably wants an IO string. I got that. Cool. IO.string IO. Okay. And now what's really nice is that we get some version back as a data frame. So, if you go through the effort of collecting your data in a CSV, or if you go to the effort of collecting your data in a markdown table, or even some JSON, it should just be more readily easy available to program with, and that's what some of this stuff does. Man, what do I got left? I got 10 minutes left. I've been thinking about something, and I wonder if I can do it in 10 minutes. What did I just get rid of? I don't want to get, so I try not to get rid, one of my goals here is to be able to, so let's say we can save complex markdown objects as variables. So this is where the documentation stuff, where we can actually start doing documentation in line. Oops, let's actually go and see if we can retrieve the last cell we made. Z. Sometimes we can't get back to these states, and sometimes I lose all my things, like just now. Like just now. Okay, this seems destructive. Okay, let's not. Oh, maybe this. Yeah. Let's go and just rewrite that thing again. Then, so we can say pandas dot read HTML. Um, actually, let's do. This is another way we can write it. We can go and say table source. We're gonna pipe that into pandas. This will give us this is a little bit more like, this is a chaining method forward. So we're going to do that, but we're going to IO string it first, and then we want the first result. No tables were found. Oh, right, because I got to go and I got to do shell.tangle.parser, two parsers, tangle and weave. And now we get a data frame. Then we can recover the data from markdown and make it useful without redundant work. So just put the string reader on and let it say that for me. Unexpected indent, isn't that fabulous? Yeah, that's very true. So one of the things about Pidgey, or these Pidgey things, is that the indents of kind of have to line up. It has to turn into valid Python, right? So that's where Markdown fails to be Python. Um, yeah, um, this is a so these are links we collected talking about calligraphy code. And let's see. There was one more thing I wanted to talk about here. How do you spell Foucault? CC. This one. Okay, this is on Monoscope's like the best for like this kind of literature. It's got so much public domain stuff. It's great. But there is a section in here about the unraveled calligram, and then Klee and Kandinsky, and like, see, the thing is like we're finding that all of these early theories like are all available in the browser for us to present information with. We just need to like research what people have talked about rather than like reinvent stuff blindly. But the calligram concept's worth exploring too. And the All right. So now we get another link in our data frame. The unraveled calligram. So, if you like to take notes in a certain style, um, then this is a way for you to kind of like customize your own experience and stuff like that. So let's go. We don't need let's we don't need that one line of code for this, and import looks like markdown anyway, right? Bada bing. Okay, great. And then let's go and shit links. Great. and then we like generated the markdown from the table ourselves. So we've got like these redundancies in here, but it's worth showing how some of this stuff. It's fun to show how this stuff goes together. So I didn't really do any accessibility things today. Did think we did do some stuff with figure, um, but trying to figure out what else this notebook could kind of use. All right, so let's do it. Let's do this. Um, I've got. I'm gonna try and I'm gonna give myself a few. I'm not gonna talk as much during this part. I'm just gonna jam real fast. All right. So I'm just gonna. I always do this like sine wave bop thing. So let's say that this is my data frame here, and this is my index, and we're gonna work off of this guy. So then I want to add the sign. So this is df index. So we actually need to multiply this by pi. Um, they've got pi divided by 180. And then we're going to go and map this to numpy dot sign. Um, and there, when oh my God, yep. So I just, there we go. So, when you're moving code around and you're like, oh, the aesthetics of this thing don't feel right, you're doing some calligraphy, right? You're like the text and the form don't add up. So now we've got sine and cosine here, right? And let's say I'm going to go and plot these things. The the way I do that, this is how I can get a little bit of a. I think if I go up here and I make this HTML, I'm going to get a little bit extra completion. Nope, the parser breaks, and then we have some trouble. But we're just going to say that this is a caption, and then these are waves. It's great. And when we make it, always put that caption there. This way the screen reader can find it. But then we're also going to put the headings in here. And this is where we start to see the Jinja stuff come into play, because we can say for column uh, in, uh, and this is going to be, let's say, list of df.index.names plus list df.columns. Um, and we're in a second, we're going to really see some like WYSIWYG kind of fun interactive computing outcomes when we're working in this block. And one of the interesting things too is when you start programming your data frames to like be seen this way is let's give this let's say that this is a column. Yeah, so we already called that column. Okay, template syntax error. That's super great. That's right. Right. Okay, none. Okay, so there are no columns, and that's right. That's very right because I didn't update it. Cool. Now there is. WYSIWYG. Bob. All right. So the next thing, so I'm gonna actually need this in a second, but then the next thing that we're gonna go do is we're gonna go and make a T body. So this is a nice way to like separate regions. Sometimes I would even consider like doing some group by stuff there, but this is where we want to go for I and row in df.iterRows. Okay, so basically you get the key back from this, and then we want to end this, so end for, and then, so this is going to give us a T row every time. Okay. Um, Now we're going to go get a T row, and then we're going to want to put our column template in here, actually. And then, so that ends the T row. Okay. And then for column, and then D, TD, TD, DF dot loc I column. Nice. Made a table. Isn't that fun? Super fast. But then, this is where you can start to really feel like you're doing some kind of like typography form thing is gets kind of interesting. So let's say I really need to name this, otherwise, like so when I name this, name equals index. Cool. So when I name this, it makes this better. Oh, look, this isn't the rightest. So we actually have to do for these names need to be THs. I think I lost a hotkey that I really liked. TH. So this is a TH here, and then this is going to be a little bit more. Anyway, we don't let's not use we're not going to use it for loop. We're just gonna we know the name of the damn thing, so let's just use that bloke I that name. Maybe that'll maybe that'll do a trick. Uh, bloke I dot name. Okay, that's not bad. That's good. That's good. And then we gotta copy this again. And we gotta remove this prefix thing. Okay, I remove this. And then we get, so we are in, we got our row, dot loc, dot column, boom. It's so sick. All right, and visually we can see that we've left them to be THs, so let's go TD that. Now we made our table, it's great. I wanna do one other thing that's kind of fun. Let's make it dance. What's that mean? I don't know. I like just like sometimes throwing things at this and seeing what will work. But one of the things I want to do is I want to take this DF. I want to take like one row of this, and let's go DF to style to vars. Okay, so then we're going to take some row here, and we're going to say that. We're just gonna do it for this specific case. I'm not gonna do the general case where I try and like always like get too fancy. So we're gonna say that row dot name merges with dict dot row. Okay. All right, great. And then we're gonna pipe this. This is ridiculous. Okay. Then we're gonna pipe this, and then we're gonna go and say they're gonna go and say everybody's gonna stop following me. Yeah, my throat starts to go about now, so it's not bad. All right, cool. Row dot name is index. Okay, and then we're gonna go and do dict row, so that'll turn into a dictionary. And then we're gonna do dict items, and then we're gonna go and do map, and then we're gonna say uh, some string dash 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 colon some float. I don't know, is this gonna work? Mod. And then we're gonna go and join everything. No, let's go and put a semicolon after this. And then let's go and join everything. What do you think? Nobody knows. Isn't it exciting to find out? All right, great. So now we can do two vars. So df.ilook0, and then we're gonna go and do two vars. Super neat. CSS variables, right? You're gonna love this. Okay, great. So now we can go and do this, and we can say that in t row style, put some quotes around, two vars, ew. right? Cool. So let's go check, inspect. Okay. So now we can go and see. Great, we've got CSS variables. That's awesome. Super fun. All right. So what do I mean? Well, let's make a dance. Let's do this. Let's have some fun. Let's say style. And let's give this an ID. Call it dance. And man, I love me some nested CSS. That shit is so sane. I love it. Anyway, let's go and mess with all the TDs and the THs. And let's just transform them based on, we'll do translate X, and then we'll do calc uh, var sign. Oh, let's do one more. Let's do one more thing here. So we kind of can mess with this a little bit easier. Let's say style here is equal to this is equal to column. So we're basically going to alias a variable, so we always like have one. Okay, and then we need to put this in a var, and now we have access to this. So let's go and say that it's var this times 100% and see if it does anything. Nope. Okay, we're gonna have to say, yeah, nice. Okay, so that says display block. Oh, okay. Is it doing anything? Let's go and say table width 50 VW, and let's say oh no, let's say everything is position. We're missing, it's position relative is our problem. Okay, so position relative, yeah. Okay, anyway, maybe we're not gonna find that today. Where's my dev tools? It's fun when it stinking works, but oh yeah, it's not working because the definition is not right. Okay, there it is. There it is. There it is. Like I said, who the fuck knows why you'd ever want to do this? But it's sure different. I don't really know what any of that means, but I have a lot of fun doing it. I think it's kind of exciting to like think about exploring this like very tight design space of tables, but like along with uh, yeah. So with like flex over here, we get something a little bit different. It's pretty fun. Um, yeah, I don't know. You can see the waviness of this, right? But like the real idea is, when you're doing a drawing or you're doing a painting or when you're doing calligraphy, like you're laying out type and you're laying out form to do stuff. And in a lot of ways, this is type as form, and you get to see it sort of immediately. I'm sure there could even be better WYSIWYG approaches, but this sort of velocity kind of works for me. But yeah, that's probably a good time to call it. And yeah, fun talking about stuff.